Hello all, my Quantlet quit working and I was able to get it working again. I made this video to show others how to get their units working. In the 15-minute video I'll show you how to take apart the Quantlet, what causes the red light only and full failures, as well as how to remove the fan if you don't want to use it. Hope this helps. Enjoy! To repair the Quantlet you're going to need a couple of things. The Quantlet app, good sharp utility knife, small flathead screwdriver various sizes, some fast setting glue like Gorilla Glue gel, side cutters, and you don't need the meter here in the video. This unit failed fully, no lights, no charge. I pulled it apart and was able to get it working again, but now it's failed with red light only working. So let's go ahead and get started. Notice it's red light only on the main LED panel. Let's pull this thing apart. So when you're cutting, it's just along the edges of the Quantlet. There is a fair amount of glue holding it together. So you just need to get the utility knife blade into there and cut along the seams on the outside of it. I didn't find I needed to cut along the inside at all, but just along the outside. It will creak and crack as the glue is separating, and it it does take a little bit of wiggling it around and starting to pry it apart. But once you start to get it, you'll notice it'll start to pull up, and you can use a screwdriver to pry it open a little bit. There is a little bit of a lip on the top cover plate that sets into the outside cover plates, so you'll just have to pry that out as you're trying to pull it apart. While taking it apart, the harness come unplugged and the strap came off. Don't be alarmed if this happens. It does plug back in very easily. Just carry on taking it apart and trying to work through the main part of the unit to get the top cover plate off. Alright, once you have the cover plate off, this next step's not completely necessary, but if you want to remove the battery bracket, you'll need to go ahead and pull it out from the side plates. So you can see it's put into the side plates there, so you have to use a little bit of force, pull it out, and then it comes right out. Now the battery is 7.4 volts. I checked the board for any damage or anything like that. Everything looked good. Since everything looked fine, we're going to go ahead and plug it in and test it. So we'll just plug the harness in, and that's all I did was plug it in, and it all worked. So my assumption was that the harness became unplugged, and just go ahead and confirm it by unplugging it, and voila, we have a red light only. So if you have a red light only, then your harnesses come unplugged, so all you need to do is pull it apart, get at the harness, plug it back in, and away you go, put it back together, and you have a working Quantlet.
All right, we're in. Okay. Alright, so that's our fan. Alright, that looks like a little bit of a seal of some sort across the top, probably for drawing in, getting a seal across the not sucking wind from places it shouldn't be.
Alright, so we have got to the fan was on top, because we removed the lid from the top on the last one, so proved difficult to get off the heat plate because it's attached through here onto here, and then that's the radiator basically of the heat that gets absorbed through this plate here. So I've cut the fan off to take it right out. Now I've connected it up to the phone, gave it a little bit of a charge because it was almost dead, and now let's see it how how it works. Okay, so we'll pick a Performance 30 P30 program and see how it works. No fan. So there we have it, people. All working, just minus the fan. So a good little fan. Alright, so now we'll put this back together. So we make sure that harness is in there.
Okay, so we'll just push that in a little bit just to make sure it's fully in there. Alright, now we'll hook on the strap onto the hooks. I've kind of wrapped up the fan. Power wires.
Okay, so doesn't really matter, but I did mark with an X and an X on which way this is supposed to go if the fan was in there. If you do pull it apart, just something to note. The fan has a direction on it, so I also marked the top of the fan which way the direction was, and it does sit. If you go to put it back in, where I got the wires sticking through those holes, it sits in there like that, and you can see there's a little arrow also there for the flow of the air to be going in, so it goes out through the louvers.
Hook on your bracelet, and then you're going to install the top plate. So what you're going to do is push on the 4 corners till they click, and then pry the side of the top plate to clip in the back. And once that clips in, then you got it all together. So what I did here is I dabbed a little bit of the Gorilla Glue on the harness connector to prevent it from coming off, whether it be working out or just a normal wear. I'd hate to have to pull it all apart again because the harness came apart and had red light failure or complete failure because of it. So just a little dab of glue, and if need be in the future, it'd be simple enough just to cut right at the connector.
The start button is, and then I'm going to peel it back, and it's a little bit of force to get it over. Okay, one in, next in, make sure the wires are free, and then they hook in there and in there, and I've already put those in at the beginning on there. Okay, so that's now nice and tight. You tuck the wire in across the front, and then you push the battery in that way, and then you just have to pull it a little bit here to get it to go down so it sits in there nice and snug. So it's pushing up against the button, so then you got a little bit of pressure against the button so you're not bending that mechanism there. Alright, now we'll go ahead and install the cover plate, which is a 3-piece. Alright, so I've already had this glued in. Normally this comes out. That's your protective plate that just goes inside there. I'm going to go ahead and glue it on there so it just stays on there. I don't see any reason why it should be floating around. So just for ease, that's going to get glued on. Alright, so we'll just leave that there with a little bit of weight on it and let that dry. Okay, so I've hooked in the bracelet on this side, and then we'll get it in the holes on this side. And now we will go ahead and install it on there. So this one has already been pulled apart, as you can see. It has a fair amount of glue already on it, so it's going to need a fair amount of glue if you wanted it to be waterproof to hold it together, or you can just snap it in and use a little bit of glue, as I recommend, just in the corners here. And I will also be putting just a dab there and a dab there, and I think that should be sufficient to hold it together. Before we glue it, we just want to make sure it's working, so I've just connected it to the app. And let's go wellness. Looks good. We got both sides working. It needs a little bit of glue. As you can see, it came open just from it being open, so we'll go ahead and glue it. Alright, so just make sure it's all fairly even along the edges, that you don't have it sticking up anywhere. On the inside you don't want to glue here, because it'll really bother your wrist when you're wearing it, so just something to be conscious of. Like I said, this glue that's got the gel, it sits fairly well and it doesn't run all over your stuff and inside the Quantlet itself, so it works pretty good.
Alright, enough of that corny music. Just a couple of reminders about charging the Quantlet and what we need to do when we're doing that. And a special thank you to my daughter, Micaiah, for helping me with this video. Thanks all. Take care.